So we've done a bit of research in this space around consumers. The first thing that we did in 2015 is we wanted to look at how we could engage with consumers on energy more effectively using digital tools. And it wasn't just digital tools, it was digital techniques and it was digital channels. You know, this is back then an emerging and a growing space. So we were looking at the 18 to 35s and we thought, what are the opportunities in that space? And so we created a whole gamified approach to helping people to understand energy efficiency. The journey was long and difficult, but it taught us a lot. It taught us some really interesting things. If we look at the tools that we employed while we were doing this, we employed things like marketing automation. So when Jason says, know your customer, we knew all the customers, and I think we put about 1,000 people through that program. We knew every one of those people. In fact, we didn't, but our marketing automation system did. They knew what you were doing and when you were doing it, and they gave you more of what you wanted when you wanted it, because the channels we used allowed us to access people in what we called active downtime, which is where they were when they wanted the information. So it was always available to them when they wanted it, and our marketing automation system served it up in a way that worked for them. The sorts of tools that were available and now enabled us to do things like what's called A/B testing, which is send them a message, and if it doesn't resonate, if they take no action on that, send it a different way and see if they take action a different way. So you can work on your communications and getting better communications through to people. You can track people in a way that you can see whether your message is getting through, and you can provide intrinsic rewards or encouragement or motivation to make sure that they do more of it. So in the digital space, we found that we could do a lot, and because we could see how active people were in this space, we weren't just giving out guidebooks and brochures. We were giving out information, and we were seeing the information clicked through or shared or passed or talked about on Facebook or responses to SMSs. So all of a sudden we had a much better vision of how people interacted. Now at the time in 2015, we estimated that the 18 to 35s represented about a third of potential energy account holders. In fact, when we put the program out to market, we got participants up to the age of 60 who were actually really digitally savvy. Now, as has already been said before, this doesn't work for everyone because connectivity is not available to everyone, and it wasn't targeted to a lot of communities that probably are not digital first natives. But for the people we're targeting, it was about 33, and we think probably more than that, % of the market. And 5 years on, the first 1,000 that we put through that program has grown to a group of more than 10,000 people who have been through this program. And that 33% is now more than 40% of the market. So digital tools have a way of providing a real opportunity for almost a choose your own adventure sort of information access. So if something's of interest to you, you can follow a path, getting more information and getting side information that's important to you. So the work that has been done with PowerShift, which talks about different ways that you can save energy, and I love this because we've moved the conversation from this is all about getting a lower price to, you know, there is a lot of different ways that you can reduce or manage your energy with all those different activities that the report talks about. And through the digital means, you've got a way of teaching people, showing people how they can do that. So the digital journey was really, really good for us. The big thing that it taught us, and I've heard it said already today, and I think that's important, is there's no single, one size doesn't fit all. Everyone's got a different story and everyone's got a different way that they want to access this problem. And so we wanted to explore that more. So the next bit of research that we did was around households. So we looked at energy use and we looked at the way that people were using our digital messaging, and they were sharing it within their family and having conversations within their families. And we realised that energy use occurs as a household. And so we looked at segmenting households and trying to work out what's driving these households. So we did a bit of work again, the first time, and this bit of research we did with some really good social marketing people and behavioural scientists over at the Queensland University of Technology, QUT. And like the PowerShift report and the policy, we found segments of households that operate differently. Those motivations are absolutely critical, because those motivations that exist in this report and that came out of our report, that's the basis of your value proposition to those groups. That's how you sell the idea, how you get them interested. And so that one size fits all really for us hits a crossroad right at that motivation, because that is how you phrase and trial those different messages. And there's another part that sits past that, and that is, what are the barriers for them taking action? And often those barriers are perceived, but there are barriers. You know, you can get them motivated to do something, but if they think it's too hard, or they think it's in a level of knowledge that they just don't understand, or if they think they've got to sit on a call centre for an hour, then it just stops. So if you understand those perceived barriers as well, that helps you shape your offering or shape the way that you push this data out. So that was really, really useful for us as we started to look at what drives those people. And I think the other thing that came out of the research that we did is we recognised that language is a big problem in the energy industry. We all just allow people to get messages in different ways, using different language, using a lot of jargon, using a lot of industry talk. So we have for a long time advocated, together with QUT, that we should have a national lexicon, a national group of definitions that everyone uses when they're talking about energy. So wherever you are, when you get on Google in Queensland and you do a search and you end up looking at a South Australian retailer or a network, the information still makes sense to you and you can work out what's going on. So the lexicon's important, and the language, simple, non-complex language. So right now, a lot of the work that we're doing over at CitySmart is working with consumers to try and find ways to explain difficult concepts to them in simple language with animations and digital diagrams. So that's our next journey now. And I think it's all part of our joint journey to try and get people to do better in this space. So that's where we're at the moment. Thanks for that.